Greetings.
Hi.
Welcome back to the channel if you are a returning viewer or subscriber. And if this is your first time visiting the channel, thank you for spending some time with us. Either way, we appreciate you watching this video. Today, we are reacting to the trailer for Spiral from the book of Saw. It's the second trailer, I believe. This is the full trailer. The film comes out in May. And I am very excited. I'm a huge fan of the Saw series. I think it's actually a very clever series, and I think despite the overt gore and such, I think the writers, even though the story gets a little convoluted in some of the later entries, I think they really did their best to keep it interesting, keep you guessing. The last film was kind of, Jigsaw, I think it was titled, and it left me with a lot of questions. I don't know if this is going to be in a similar vein. I don't even know if John Kramer is in this film. I haven't checked the cast list because I just want to go in
fresh,
not knowing too much aside from the trailers. Hopefully the trailer doesn't show too much and doesn't spoil too many things. But we went and saw the first Saw with friends, and it's one of the only films I've ever seen where I was not able to predict the ending. And I don't sit there and try throughout the movies that have surprise endings. I don't try and okay, let's try and figure out what it is. But usually there's something in the film that kind of foreshadows what's coming, or you just piece it together from clues. There have only been 2 or 3 films that we've seen where I have not been able to guess it. Saw, when, spoiler alert, when John Kramer gets up from the floor of the bathroom in the ending, I remember saying out loud, "Oh my f***ing God," in the theater. Because I just did not see it coming. And the sequel, I think, is pretty darn good. I think it's much better than some people give it credit for. I really enjoy Saw 3 as well. And I think the way they told that story and how it relates to the first one, I thought was also very clever. The fourth one is where it starts to get a little convoluted, but I still thought it was clever with the timeline and the way they did things. 5 is one of those, if I never see it again, I'm like, that's fine. I thought 6 was much better than it had any reason to be. Usually by the time you get to the 6th entry in the series, with the exception of the Mission Impossible films, it starts to get okay, this is predictable, we know where it's going. You're going because you like the franchise. You're not going because you expect it to be mind-blowing. But I thought that film was topical, and it was pretty darn smart. 7 was fairly predictable, but it was cool. Spoiler alert, to see Dr. Gordon come back to the series. To me, that was the only place that could go. That was the only place his story could go after the first film. I was like, well, I bet he's in on it. Even before he showed up in the 7th film, I was like, why have they not brought back Dr. Gordon? I feel like he would become a Saw helper or helper of John Kramer or whatever. Anyway, one more thing to note. I am very intrigued at the notion that this was basically conceived by Chris Rock. I didn't ever figure him or take him for a horror fan, but apparently he's a huge fan of the Saw series, and it stars him and Samuel Jackson. So again, nice. I really enjoy both of those actors. I think Chris Rock he can get a little one note, but I think he's very talented and very clever, and I think he probably is much more clever than people give him credit for. It's just, in Hollywood, you tend to get pigeonholed and typecast, and I'm just excited to see what he brings to the series. Are you excited?
I am.
I should also note, she's not a huge fan of the series, but
no,
I don't need to speak for you either. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Some of the gore is a little much for me. Some of the visuals are a little too much for me to handle. I enjoy the concept.
You mean the visuals of the violence?
The visuals of the violence, yes. I like the series in general. There's definitely 3 or 4 of the films that I'm like, I could take it or leave it. The first one was insanely clever, but I'm excited to see this.
Yeah, that film, honestly, a lot of people crap all over the first film and they call it torture porn and this and that and the other. I never felt like the first film was torture porn. I thought it was a very graphic but very clever thriller. Now, I know there are people that are like, oh, the acting wasn't that great. Okay, well, that's, take it or leave it. But it doesn't change the fact that we hadn't really seen anything like that. Yeah, people would say it's kind of evocative of 7, but it's its own thing. And I had never seen anything quite like that before. The crux of John Kramer's plan, the conceit of his overall plan. I'd never seen anything like it. And that's why I was like, this is really, really clever. I think in the latter films, they started to lean very heavily on the gore.
Yes. Because
it became like the Friday the 13th films. The first Friday the 13th is gory, but it's not like brutally gory. There's a few scenes like when the arrow comes through Kevin Bacon's throat and stuff where it's like, ah, but you don't see as much of the impact. Like in the later films, you see the impact of the cleaver going in someone's face or the head being, chopped by an axe. The Saw films were the same way. The latter entries started to really rely on the gore because I think they were really trying hard to piece stories together. And again, given what they had to work with, I think they did a fairly good job. So, enough blabbing. If you're here, I'm assuming you like Saw and you want to see us react to this trailer. So why don't we get right to it? If you are easily offended by gore and violence and such things, maybe you don't want to watch this reaction. Just letting you know, I don't want anyone to get triggered and then come screaming at us about, oh, why didn't you tell me? Because it's Saw. The title of the film kind of implies what we're going to see. So if that bothers you, navigate elsewhere now. Watch another reaction that's more family friendly. So here we go with our reaction to the final trailer for Spiral.
Do you want to play a game?
This package just came in.
There it is. Twisted Pictures.
Play me.
Hello, Detective Banks. Do you know where your officers are?
Oh, dear.
Jigsaw?
Wait, I thought the Jigsaw killer was dead.
He is.
Find him. They're hours, not days.
How can I catch this guy? If there's nobody on the force, I just lost.
You can't do this alone.
Whoever did this has another motive. Something personal.
When was the last time you saw your father?
Jigsaw copycat.
This is gonna go sideways fast.
Cool. Nice visual.
That was just a diversion to get us out of the precinct. I need everyone on this case. It could be anyone. It could be anyone. We're gonna tear this city apart.
There's Kramer.
Hello, Detective Banks. When was the last time you saw your father?
Oh.
Ooh. So a lot of flash images, not a lot of long takes to go on, which I'm glad. I'm glad they didn't show us too much. Really clever, the idea of the pig marionette with the police outfit. Obviously a play on, kind of disrespectful term of calling police officers pigs.
Right.
Makes total sense. It looks beautiful. I will say the photography in some of those shots, like the overhead shot of the police vans and cars pulling up, was really great photography. It looks well made. Darren Bousman, or Bousman, I'm actually not sure how you say that, was involved with a lot of the previous Saw films, so he definitely knows his stuff. I'm excited. I mean, again, as long as they keep making Saw films, they have an audience member in me. You can judge that for however you want. But I like them. I enjoy them. I think they're clever. Sometimes the gore gets a little much, even for me. But I like where they fit in the genre. I like the stories generally that they tell. And I like Sam Jackson. I like Chris Rock. So I'm there.
Right.
What did you think?
I really like the trailer. I also really like when people do smart things. And it appears, at least from the trailer, Chris Rock was calling people out like he was trying to get us away from the precinct, blah, blah, blah. Like, I like when stories are smart like that instead of you see something so obvious on TV or movies and you're just like, oh, come on.
Yeah, like anybody's that stupid.
Like anybody's that stupid. Now, I don't know, obviously, how the story goes, but I really like the snippets that we saw of his character being like, look, idiots, this is what it is.
Yeah. Take charge and you know, trying to be logical.
Right.
Given, you know, how are we supposed to catch this killer if I can't trust my own team? And how do we catch somebody that's supposedly dead? And, you know, they're good questions. And, of course, it has to come back to John Kramer. I mean, we saw a photograph of him, but it's interesting that the voice has changed.
Yes.
They're not using "hello, detective," or, you know, it's kind of a bad impression, but, you know, that's how it sounded in the previous film. So they're definitely changing it up and trying to keep it fresh as they can, given that it's the 9th film in the series, which is almost shocking to me, but very excited. What did you think? Let us know. Tell us in the comments. And just as always, if you're going to leave a comment, please be respectful to each other as well. We don't want ugly infighting in the comment section.
Right.
And
don't spiral out of control in the comments.
Very good. She's on top of it. So thank you for watching. There will be more trailer reactions. Hopefully you'll check those out, and we will see you again soon.
Bye.
Even before he showed up in the 7th film, I was like, why have they not brought back Doc? Even before he showed up in the 7th film, I was like, why have they not brought... Can I tell you how much I don't like the trailer for the trailer? They do that with almost all trailers nowadays, where it's like, what you're about to see is a trailer. It's like, don't tease us with a trailer for the trailer. Just show me the damn trailer. I know what I'm watching.